Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I'm going to be doing one of the things that I said that I was going to do in my last video, and in today's video I wanted to talk about the book that I am writing. So for as long as I can remember, I have loved coming up with stories. I can very clearly remember the first story that I ever started working on, which was years ago, and it was a princess story about three princesses who were sisters who had to basically run away from their evil stepmother who was a sorceress. So I've always had a love for writing and writing books and writing fan fictions and basically doing whatever I can to try and be creative as possible. So over the last couple of years, I've attempted writing stories, but none of them have ever really gone anywhere. Until my most recent story that I have started working on, and I decided to start taking my writing a lot more seriously. And I am currently in the planning stage of my first ever sports romance book. Sports romance is honestly one of my all-time favourite genres. It's what I tend to go towards the most. I love me a good sports romance. Some of my favourite series is like the Off-Campus series by Al Kennedy, the Playing for Keeps series by Becca Mack, the Windy City series by Liz Tom Ford. Those series all mean so much to me, and they're some of the best books I've ever read. And I would just love to be able to write something that people could hopefully read one day and have as much a connection to it as I do to those kind of books. And I've come up with a 4-book series, which is basically, the series is kind of a sports romance meets Devil Wears Prada. Now, I did not come up with that. It was actually one of my lovely best friends, Em, who made that realization, because she has been a big inspiration with helping me with planning, and also basically she's kind of like my sounding board whenever I've got ideas that I need someone to talk to about. She's the person I go to, and she's been really, really helpful. She is also obviously in the middle of working on her own sports romance book, and she's an incredible writer. So whenever I do need help with fleshing out my ideas in my brain, because I know what I need to do, but sometimes I need someone to talk to help me get them out of my brain and properly onto a Word document. So Em knows basically everything there is to know about my book series, and she went to see Devil Wears Prada too with one of our other best friends, Alice, and she gave the connection of that my book series is basically sports romance meets Devil Wears Prada, and that is definitely the case. So it's going to be a 4-book series, and all the books have different tropes in them, but the first book is actually a brother's best friend accidental pregnancy romance with a twist. Now, I know a lot of people don't really like accidental pregnancy, but I personally absolutely adore accidental pregnancy books. They are one of my all-time favourite books to read. Accidental pregnancy and also single parent are just it's literally my favourite trope. So when I was planning on writing this book, I knew that that was definitely a trope that I wanted to put in. And I decided that that was going to be the first book in the series. And I'm very excited about it, just because I am currently at the minute in the middle of planning chapter, I think, 47 or something. So it's got a lot of chapters, but some of the chapters are going to be very short, and I don't know if there's actually going to be that many chapters in the book when it gets to it. But I'm really enjoying the planning stage, and I am very much looking forward to getting to the writing stage of this project, because I have grown such an attachment to my characters, and I've already planned out the characters for all 4 books, and I know how all 4 books are going to pan out. And I'm just so excited about it. So book 1 in this series follows my character Sutton, who basically is from Manchester, and she moves her entire life to New York for her dream job. But something happens after she moves, and she ends up getting fired, and she gets kicked out of her apartment because it was a company provided apartment, and she basically doesn't know what to do because she doesn't have the money to move back to Manchester, and she doesn't really want to leave New York because it's been her dream to get to New York and work for a fashion magazine since she was a kid. So she contacts her brother, and he contacts his best friend, Sebastian Alvarez, who is my MMC, who is a famous hockey player, and basically asks him if Sutton can move in with him while she gets back on her feet and while she looks for another job. And basically a lot of different stuff happens that it makes Sutton's life a lot harder than it needs to be. She's got her whole pregnancy storyline. She's also got stuff going on with why she lost her job and things like that. And honestly, I love these characters. It is a brother's best friend romance, but it's also kind of a little bit of a childhood friends to lovers romance, just because Sebastian and Sutton were also friends when they were kids. But Sebastian moved to New York when he was only 16 because his mom got a job at NYU, so he had to move with his family. So Sutton hasn't seen Sebastian properly since they were like kids. So yeah, it's just, I don't want to give too much away. I am going to do more like in-depth video on my characters and who I've planned out for my characters for like all of the 4 books. But yeah, no, I'm really excited about this book. I am hoping to be done with the planning stage by the end of like June or July, because I do want to get into writing by like August, September time. But I've done pretty well with my planning because at the end of January, I hadn't got anything planned for my book. I had done my character planning and I had done what was my basic plot, but I hadn't planned out any of the chapters. And now, a couple of months later, I have got all of my chapters, well, majority of my chapters planned out, and I know where the story is going. So I'm very, very excited to get into the actual writing stage of the story. And yeah, I just wanted to do a little bit of a video talking about where I currently am in my process. My process is very new to me when it comes to writing, because previously I was actually just going straight in with writing, but then a lot of the time I would get stuck and I wouldn't know where to go with the story. So for example, I have another story that I'm writing, which is a trilogy, and it's called the Flynn Family Fortune series. And it basically follows the romance of the Flynn sibling, like the different romances that each of the Flynn siblings has. But I just went straight into writing book 1 in that series, and I ended up getting stuck after like 7 chapters and not knowing where to go. So when I started planning this series, I took Em's advice and I actually did some chapter planning, and it has definitely really, really helped with the writing process and also just knowing where I want the story to go next. And I think when it actually gets to me writing the actual books, it'll be a lot easier for me because I'll know what's going into each and every chapter. But yeah, that is all really I wanted to say about my book for now. I'm very excited to share more, and the next video I do about my writing will be more in-depth character profiles of all my characters that I have come up with for this series. But yeah, that is it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please like, comment and subscribe, and hit the little notification bell below so you know when I upload. I upload every single Wednesday at 5 p.m. And if you want to know more about what I'm reading, or also want to know more about my writing, I do actually have a writing TikTok account where I post random quotes, just like vibes about my book and all things like that. So yeah, if you guys want to check that out, the links will be in my description. But that's it for today. I will catch you guys next time.